Solana keeps pumping, and it's not done yet. This week, I think that Solana is gonna finally have its day. We've been waiting for Solana for so long. Ethereum has pumped, Bitcoin has pumped, and Solana has stayed steady. But this morning, it started to make a move. And lucky for me, in the $10,000 to $100,000 trading challenge that we're currently doing, I caught it, and we're currently up $7,600 this morning on just that one trade. In fact, it gets better than that. We're now sitting in account balance of $79,000. Remember, it's been 6 weeks since we started the $10,000 to $1 million trading challenge, and currently we're sitting at nearly an 800% P&L in the same period of time where Bitcoin has returned minus 292%. And I've got to say, I'm very happy with how it's going, to be honest, because we did have an absolutely colossally terrible day, and there are many times where you will have been trading and you've had a day like that and it's just wiped out most of the account and you've gone, I can't do this, and you've blitzed it down to zero. But we got back on the horse. We planned out a few good trades, and those trades are starting to pay off, taking us back to the point where we were 30 days ago. But as I said, Solana, it's not done yet, and I'm very excited for the next stage of this bull run because Solana is going to $300, but a lot of people don't actually think that it's possible, and I don't know why, because it's gonna probably happen this week. So without further ado, drop a like on this video, just press that button, leave a comment down below whether you are bullish or bearish on the price of Bitcoin, and you're entered to win a $10,000 giveaway that I'm gonna do if we manage to hit 1,000 likes on one of these videos. But anyway, we need to look at the current price of Bitcoin, which is trading just below $112,000, and to me, looks actually pretty good right now. I think we're off to a pretty solid start for the week. But before we go on to do any price analysis on the price of Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on Solana, where we'll also be looking at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, Solana liquidation heat map, Ethereum liquidation heat map, we need to discuss today's crypto news because Michael Saylor, although he didn't get included on the S&P 500 list, he is now part of the Bloomberg Billionaire 500 list. So he did make it to a list, although it's not the one that we wanted. Either way, I expect the next meeting, and I think a lot of people will forget by then, so mark it in your calendars, 3 months from last Friday, MicroStrategy is going to get included in the S&P 500. And when MicroStrategy gets included in the S&P 500, we'll either mark the very top of the bull run or it'll be a giant catalyst for higher. But either way, that means that we've not reached the top yet, and the top is likely a lot higher. Now, if you don't know something that happened today, Sol Strategies is listing on NASDAQ, and Sol Strategies completes its listing on NASDAQ tomorrow. And to put it simply, you're just not bullish enough on the price of Solana. Nobody is. Solana hasn't seen an all-time high this bull market for ages. If we go to the daily chart here and scroll out, you can see that the all-time high was set up here at nearly $300. We have now cracked the top of this head and shoulders pattern. If I remove that, you can actually get a proper view on it. We've now cracked this level of resistance here, and being that we've cracked that, this head and shoulders pattern is no longer valid, and it's likely we're just gonna go straight to the upside, and the target becomes where the next level of resistance is, and that next level of resistance on Solana is sitting so much higher than the current price, being $386 per Solana coin. Basically, you'll double your money. Now, it probably won't be an instant move up to $400 per coin, but I'm certain that it happens. And don't worry that you missed Solana at $20 or at $50 or at $100 or at $150 or even $200, because of the odds that you actually held that whole distance are basically 0%, as most people that held Bitcoin from $1 didn't actually hold Bitcoin from $1. Most of them bought, sold, bought, sold, bought, sold. Also, back in the day, you couldn't actually barely even sell Bitcoin. You had to meet a man at a bus station. Solana will do $1,000. Have some confidence. In other news, Germany is yet to seize $5 billion in Bitcoin tied to piracy site Movie 2K. They're not going to be able to seize it. Hopefully the person gets away with it and can keep their money. The German government doesn't deserve that Bitcoin. The German government is the worst Bitcoin holder that we've ever witnessed, who fumbled the bag on Bitcoin so hard when Bitcoin was down at like $30,000 and they dumped so much of it. It was the most bizarre decision. So Germany, you don't deserve this Bitcoin. Give it to me instead. And then finally, in today's crypto news, Metaplanet and El Salvador are adding Bitcoin as sentiment is shifting towards neutral. Now, looking at the fear and greed index, that's also sitting bang on neutral right now. We're out of the range of fear. Last month, we were feeling greedy, and I get the feeling that we are due a sentiment bounce. It has been a while since this has not been in a steady downtrend or sideways action period of time. I think that sentiment is about to change towards more bullishness. Sol Strategies listing on the stock market is huge, and I have zero intention of getting out of my Solana long position from $203. If anything, I'm looking for a dip back to 207, maybe 206, where I can fire off another clip and we'll make more money when it rises back to the upside. But I don't even know if that kind of dip can happen, to be honest. I think that this won't last very long and we'll probably get more upside before the end of the day. Now, when it comes to today's traditional news, short-dated treasuries are steady as traders are betting on larger Fed cuts. Now, we discussed this in the previous day's video. 9 days left to go until the next FOMC meeting, where currently we now have a 9.9% chance of a 0.5% rate cut and a 90% chance of a 0.25% rate cut. If either of those two happen, the market is going to pump anyway. But if this one happens, which is pretty unlikely, but if it did happen, the market will just straight line it, and Solana literally will just go straight to $300 in like a single candle, and it will just go up. As simple as that. Like, everything right now is so bullish, apart from what's going on in China, because Chinese exports are slumping towards the USA, 33% because of tariffs, but trade surplus is heading for a record. What is a trade surplus? Well, this is where Trump gets his economics confused. A trade surplus is where China is supplying more exports to the US than what the US is exporting to China. So China is having a record amount of exports to the US because the US is just not exporting anything to China. So the difference is bigger than ever before, despite tariffs. Now, this is generating a lot of money for the US economy, which is great for us in crypto because China banned crypto ages ago. So we're not hugely bothered about China. And to be honest, I kind of think this is bullish. It's pretty decent. Something that's not decent is going on in France at the moment. I don't know what's going on there, but they're getting rid of the government. The government is collapsing over in France. France is set to lose another premier today. I think they only just elected one. They're doing what England did like 5 years ago. I don't even think it was 5 years ago at this point. You remember when we had Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, Rishi Sunak all in the span of about 3 weeks. So you just love watching a government collapse. It's a great show. Problem is, I don't understand French. I can speak a little bit Je m'appelle Jordan. But either way, globally, still a bit of a hotbed at the moment, but crypto-wise, things are looking good. And of course, if you're interested in trading, check out the link to BLOFIN in today's video description where you can get a Rolex for completely free for doing $100 million of trading volume. Oh, and by the way, no KYC. Back to it. We need to look here, first of all, starting out looking at the challenge to understand how I'm trading this, and then we can go back and look at the markets and see how they're reacting. So currently, I'm long on Solana, 787 Solana long, about $140,000. WIF, I'm also long, about $80,000. Ethereum, I'm also long, about $200,000. Bitcoin, I'm also long, about $400,000. Pump is about $110,000. That's now $43,000 in a profit. And Fartcoin, I think, is about $80,000. I'm long the whole market. And you might notice here as well, meme coin kind of, and then meme coin. I go long on meme coins when we expect a trend reversal. And the reason that I do this is because meme coins tend to move more aggressively than other coins. So when I'm looking around at things to do, I just go straight onto BLOFIN, straight onto the meme tab. And as soon as the market looks like it's showing any signs of life, I go onto the meme tab, I sort by volume, I look at which ones have got volume but haven't really moved a lot yet. WIF has pretty much lower volume than it usually does, so therefore I go long on WIF because SPX has pumped, Pengu's pumped, Pepe doesn't really move quite as much as the others, Bonk has pumped, and Doge has pumped, so we're looking for the first one with decent volume that hasn't pumped yet. And there you go, bit of logic from my brain. However, now to discuss the price of Bitcoin and where the price of Bitcoin is headed. And I talked about in the previous day's video how it looks like Bitcoin is forming this giant megaphone pattern and it's going to land up here at $126,000, and I still believe that to be the case. Bitcoin looks very bullish right now. I've left all of the previous support and resistance levels that I've shown you in previous videos, and the last one that we're tussling with right here is this one, about $112,200. At the point where Bitcoin is breaking above $112,200, it's going to pump all the way up to $114,700. And at the point where it's breaking through $114,700, sky becomes the limit. Next stop becomes 18K because that's where the VRVP is sitting with the peak range of liquidity, and after 18K, sky is literally the limit and we'll go make another all-time high. I think the only thing holding us back in the market right now is the fact that I'm filming this before US market has opened. When it comes to Ethereum, this is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, and you can see again, Ethereum is struggling at this point to hold its gains versus Bitcoin. It's had a massive rally to the upside in recent months, and if we measure the size of that rally, 79% against the price of Bitcoin, at the very peak was 100% against the price of Bitcoin. Now, if we was to look at Solana over that same period of time and go bottom to top, you can see that Solana's done 52%, so it's underperformed Ethereum by around 100%, because 50% is half of 100, which means that there's more space for it to grow, basically. And for me, Solana is the most bullish bullish asset out there right now. I 100% believe it is probably the only long position that you should be so confident that you should be holding one underwater. If you are underwater on a long, hold it. From my perspective, I don't think it's a bad idea. I really 100% believe this is about to go to $360. And as we know with Solana in the past, these moves come overnight and they just happen. They're so aggressive when they happen, like every single time. Don't last for long. Even when Solana's first starting out back here, it doesn't last. The pump is a very short-lived pump, but it's very aggressive on Solana. And you can get these massive gains in such short periods of time. For me, Solana is the best play in the market right now with the S&P listing coming up with regards to Sol strategies, meaning that there'll be a Solana micro strategy on the stock market within the next 24 hours. And liquidation heat map wise, we've got such a massive level up here at 220. Billions of dollars getting liquidated on Solana. For me, I've already keep pointing out my love for Solana, but like, look at the downside versus the upside. Obviously, I expect it's gonna go up. Now, when we look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see not a lot of liquidity in this range here, so it's probably unlikely gonna be making some big moves in the near-term future. It'll probably just keep consolidating. For Ethereum, big a lot there, stuck in the middle again. Not a whole lot we can read into with that. Only I would argue that we're in a bull market, so you're more likely to take out the higher levels. When it comes to monitoring interest and activity on Google search terms for like altcoins right now, this is altcoins versus meme coins. Meme coins is the red line, altcoins is the blue line, and you can see it's dropped off 100%. Like, people are just not searching for altcoins right now. When it comes to Bitcoin appears to be forming some kind of bottom. Even when it comes to Solana, worldwide, the past 90 days, it's dropped off so significant. Like, that's an unbelievable drop off on a Google search term. But to me, when it's so low, it becomes very attractive to buy, especially when the price action looks as bullish as what it does. If you want to join the $10,000 to $100,000 trading challenge, you can do by joining the Crypto Saving Expert Discord group, where you'll find a link for CSE Plus in today's video description. Using the code 50OFF, then you'll get 50% off this price, making it £50 a month. And then within that group is where I post all my trades. But you don't just get my trades, you get education, you get other people in there, like professional tutors, unlimited courses that we've got on the internet. Honestly, it'll be the best £50 you ever spend. And during the course of me filming this video, it's gone dark outside as well, if you haven't noticed. So drop a like on it. Come on. I'd really appreciate it. Let's try and get 1,000 likes so I can give one of you guys $10,000. My current thoughts on the market are buy Solana. I'm not giving you financial advice. This is my own thoughts of what I believe I'll be doing. But I'm just so confident that Solana is the right trade right now to be taking. It's the right timing. Everything about everything with Solana seems like the stars are aligning. And even if it doesn't pay off today, tomorrow, the day after, it's going to pay off at some point in the next 30 days. We are in Bulltember now. The second phase of the bull market is starting. People are returning to work again, and we're about to make a lot of money. So slap a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.